I am super, super excited to speak with our guest because she is what we poets think we are, but she has the qualifications to back it with so many opinions and PR campaigns flying around migrants and refugees. I'm so excited to talk to an actual expert of people and place. Maysa is a scholar of people and placement in every single sense of the word, an expert in freedom of expression, protection of civilians in conflict, integration of refugees and migrants in society, with qualifications from the University of Oxford and Goldsmiths University. It is my honor to welcome a genius such as yourself onto the podcast. Maysa, how are you today?
Morning. Thank you so much, Sophia, for this generous introduction. I'm all right. Obviously, the sun is out after some rain. So,
Yeah.
yeah, really excited about that. Some sunny intervals today. I'm all right. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's got to be the most typical UK day ever. I literally woke up to the sound of rain, and like you said, now I'm seeing like a blue sky kind of parting at the moment, but it's the UK. It's what it promises. So before I ask what your hope hit is, I'm just going to explain really quickly what a hope hit is to our listeners. So a hope hit is basically a song that brings light back into the room of your body and your heart. It's a song that you listen to feel empowered, to remember your faith in people, remember your faith in yourself. It's ultimately a song that inspires you to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So let's get straight to it. Maysa, what is your hope hit?
So my hope hit is called Baitik Ya Sitti. It's a song by the amazing Fairuz singer. Fairuz is one of the most well-known Arab singers. She's Lebanese, and I have her picture hanged on my wall because
Oh
I
yeah.
adore her. I guess this song is, rather than only hope, it's memories, it's nostalgia, it's connection, and it's home.
Mm,
Because it's basically about, the singer is talking about a woman that she met, and that old woman reminded her of her grandmother, but then the song
mm,
goes into a lot of details about how the house looks, what the woman says to her, how she reminds her of her grandmother. And obviously, we don't know where the singer is at that moment, but she says that her grandmother is far away and she misses her a lot. And she's
mm.
also sure that her grandmother also misses her at the same time. And maybe she's
Oh,
crying because she don't see her at this time. So it's quite an emotional song, but it's so strange of like how Feiruz is able to connect us to that grandmother and that old woman, because the way she describes everything is something that you could see in every Syrian house, and obviously something
mm,
that I completely relate to. My late grandmother like kind of raised us up because she lived in the same village with us, so she was kind of she was always around us, and like she would narrate stories to us as kids. So it's such a like a warm song for me, and like brings
yeah.
so much memories. And the thing also I like about it is that it brings those memories to anyone from Syria who could listen to that. We could relate, like that childhood and that modest house that she was describing.
Mm.
It's crazy how much it connects me to home, and how like I feel literally in my grandmother's house. And obviously, I just love that song so much.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. So I heard
Mm.
it last night when I was listening through, and it's so funny because before I heard the song, I was thinking, I wonder what the lyrics are going to be. But
Yeah.
of course, because it was in Lebanese Arabic, I had to do like a Google. But this is super helpful to understand like what it's about and the feeling of it. I remember my brother; he always says that. He's got two quotes. Actually, he's got loads of quotes, but two that he two that he really leans into is that there's so many things that can carry memory. So, and
Mhm.
one of them is smell. For example, you can be walking on the street and just get a waft of something passing, and it can literally take you straight back to a place. And I think music does the same thing. Like you said, it can be so transportive, and I guess that's why it's so important for artists to kind of document what is happening at the time in that moment, because it does connect so many people. You know, you can listen to it here in the UK and it can remind you of Syria, it can remind you of Damascus. And you've kind of answered it, to be fair, but when you are listening to this song, if you had your eyes closed and you had your headphones on, what kind of feelings does it fill you with?
And so basically, it's, as I said, it's talking about meeting that old lady, and then she goes to describe the furniture, like, and there are specific names for the sofa, for example, and then she's speaking about the mattresses, because a lot of like us grew up in where we were actually sleeping on the floor, you know, and that was something really like that gave a lot of warmth to us. And obviously, my grandmother used to sleep next to me or my siblings.
Uh,
Definitely, like, it's very difficult to listen to this song and not cry, it's absolutely because I lost my grandmother while I was here, so I didn't get the chance to be with her.
I'm sorry.
I'm really glad that she lived a long life. She lived until 90, and
Wow.
then and until few days before she passed away, she was still going to the garden, like watering the
Wow.
plants.
Wow.
She would still walk from her house to ours, which is, I'd say, around 10 minutes walk. So I hope that I'll be like hers. Like I'm trying to keep as much fit as much as I can, even like going to the gym. But like, it's that spirit of like the earth, right? The connection to the land. She had her farm. She always worked in there. Yeah, it brings lots of sadness for one part, the fact that I didn't say goodbye to her and I couldn't. It brings a lot of warmth, as I said. It brings a lot of love, like the ability of that singer, which I adore, to convey that warmth to me. And then
Yeah.
just me thinking I am in my grandmother's house long time ago, just like yeah, her doing everything she can to heat us up because it was really like very cold in the winter. And connection to myself, connection to my body. Like it brings all those sensations and connections to the people I know. When they listen to that song, they will really, really feel similar feelings. So
Right.
I guess these are some of the main feelings that I get, and a lot of love.
Yeah, no. I mean, I got that from what you were saying. With it being such a like emotionally charged song for you because it's connected to so many things that perhaps aren't in your physical existence anymore. When do you find yourself going to listen to it, or do you remember the first time that you heard it?
I wasn't so young when I heard it. As
Okay.
in, it's not like a song that I heard when I listened to when I was with my grandmother, and then I listened to again. And I think that is the powerful part of it, is that I
Mm,
like it doesn't like it wasn't a memory of my childhood, but when I listen to it, I can relate to that a lot. I do listen to it when I miss my grandmother, when I think of
mm,
her, and this happens a lot. Sometimes when I really like, I know how powerful it is. Sometimes I avoid it. I have to be honest. Like when
yeah.
I'm maybe in public or with the friends, but as I said, it's impossible to listen to it and not like have some tears. When I miss my grandmother and when I miss home, because it's like my grandmother is a representation of home. Everybody loved her. She was with us
Mm,
all the time. She was so kind, and we all actually in the Arab world have that idea of the grandmother. So basically,
mm,
whenever you go to a grandmother's house, you will eat a lot. So
yeah.
because she would cook for you, she makes sure that you are very full and everything is fine. So yeah, that's it.
That's really powerful. I think that's really interesting as well, that once people become grandmothers, it's like they step into this archetype. Like the idea of a grandmother is this place of warmth, this place of wisdom. So I think just having a song that kind of underpins it with the specifics of Syria is still so connecting, because you speak about this song and I think about my grandma. I think about how I never left the house hungry, ever. In fact, I left the house full, and then we were also taught you can't turn down food because it was disrespectful. So
Exactly.
I think the way you speak of this song and your grandma just reminds me so much of my grandma, and also makes me miss her. I would love to talk a bit about your journey from teaching belly dancing and academia in Syria to living here in the UK. Now, most of my knowledge, I have to admit, around Damascus comes from Bible stories and their news cycles. And as someone who's lived and worked and still advocates for Syria and Syrians, what makes the place so special to you? You know, you speak of your grandma, you speak of her gardening, you speak of the food and the culture. But let's begin there. What for you makes Syria such a special place to grow up in?
It's because wherever I go, I still feel it's in my heart. So it's very
Mm,
difficult to get out of it, literally, like
right.
I can get out of Syria, but Syria doesn't get out of me. I think
Mm,
I guess it's lots of things. Obviously, I am originally from Latakia city, which is on the Mediterranean, and I lived most of my life in Syria, then in Damascus, because I traveled there to study and to work. But Latakia is on the coast, on the Mediterranean, and that's one of the things I adore about my hometown. But also, it's a very green place. It's on the beach, so we have lots of nice
mm,
forests. I lived in a very quiet village and a small one. I used to walk to school, and I still remember, like, in front of the house, all the roses and flowers that we had. So
uh,
I grew really fond of nature, and I used to have these walks with my twin brother to the hills in the village, which are actually now one of my favorite memories when I think about it. Like
uh,
that time with my twin brother, but also in the nature and like how we just naturally did it. There is a lot. I think it's everything that has to do with family,
Mm.
every memory about me learning English and
Mm.
doing the effort to learn a new language with the support of my father. I used to read a lot, also in a quiet place, and I think also one of the things I remember a lot and I love about my childhood is when we used to sit in the summer on the roof, and then the moon is full, and my grandmother is
Wow.
narrating stories to us, and my father
Wow.
also was very fond of poetry, so he would narrate some poetry to us and say it. And these are some of my favorite memories. It's like the place I belong to. It's my roots. It's where I know I'll get back to at some point.
Mm.
It's friends. It's the language that I speak. It's the music that I love, and all the memories
Mm.
also because my parents also had their own taste of like music and songs and stuff. So it's the combination of all these things. It's like
Yeah.
it's the community, I'd say, and the family. That's yeah, most important about Syria, I'd say.
It sounds magical. It honestly sounds
Yes.
like a fairy tale, from poetry under a full moon to walking in the hills with, you said, your twin brother.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so lucky. That sounds like so charming. It sounds so quaint. What kind of brought you to the UK?
I always wanted to study in London. I always wanted to do a
Okay.
master's, and I owe that to my father because I was around 12. He was like, "Oh, you have to get better in English because English, the cosmopolitan language, you will need it. It's universal." And then like he kind of helped me to really like improve my English, but he told me it's going to be very important in the coming few years. And
Right.
that's why I always like I listened to the BBC, and then I always
Mm.
he also used to listen to BBC Arabic every morning. And, the
Mm.
sound of Big Ben is one of our childhood memories. It's like
Wow.
every hour, like we listen to the news, but there's Big Ben. And I'm like, I really want to go there. It was always a dream. Obviously, financially, it was difficult to do that, like to be
Right.
able to come from that small village straight to London. So I went to Damascus, and I went to Damascus and I studied and I worked. I had that chance
Mm.
at least like to engage with the community, to meet people from different backgrounds, to study, which wasn't really easy because the educational system in Syria was really different. And then I went to Goldsmith, which
Mm.
I think was amazing. I enjoyed being and doing that master's in human rights, culture, and social justice. It was really important to me. So this is my journey. This is how I arrived in
You
London
came
in
here
2016.
2016. Okay, so almost 10 years now.
Exactly.
Almost a decade. As someone who came from Syria, and again, I guess the idea of Syria in the UK is very different now to what I imagine it would have been 10 years ago. But how have you found, or how did you find kind of settling into the UK, life here compared to Syria as well?
Yeah, so obviously when I came in 2016, it had been 5 years since the conflict started in Syria. So I wouldn't say the situation was really great when I left. And I still remember like we didn't have electricity, water was also scarce, and all these things. So first of all, like in terms of what was available, the UK and London was a great place. Oh, guys, you have electricity all the time. And
Yeah.
that was like something really important. But obviously it goes way beyond that. As you said, the UK, and I speak about London specifically because I didn't live somewhere else. It's a very diverse place. I love that. I love seeing
Mm.
people from different cultures. I love how welcoming London is to migrants and refugees. I still feel welcome in London.
Mm.
I still feel it's my home at the moment. So whenever I travel, and I enjoy traveling a lot, I always feel about I need to go back home, which is London. And I
Uh,
just wanted to mention this because when I come back, like, and I'm at the airport at the border control, I really love when like the officers say, "Welcome back home," because
mm.
they probably don't understand how important that it is for us to hear, especially that
Yeah.
many of us cannot go back home at the moment. So it's really important. I love like the opportunities that London offers and the UK offers in terms of education. I love how I can just decide to change my career now and do something different. I love how I can study whatever I want. I have the I love the availability of opportunities. There are many opportunities for people of us who would need financial support for like businesses or like to continue the studies.
Mm.
And as I said, I love that London is still keeping that welcoming space. And a lot of people I met that are really welcoming of migrants and refugees, understanding of the plight that they have been through. So I'm lucky to be in London, really. I'm happy to be here and grateful for that.
That's really beautiful. Nobody really escapes their home. And I know it wasn't your situation, but nobody escapes their home unless it really is an unsafe place to be. I mean, leaving like a job or a relationship, even in London, it can sometimes take years and years of deliberation. So I know that leaving a place is not done lightly, crossing borders, crossing oceans, leaving everything behind. It's not done lightly. So I would actually love to speak about the Refugee Journalism Project and what your intentions were. If you could speak a bit about the project and then what your intentions were behind it as well.
Yeah, so I was a member of the steering committee of that project, and it was with the London Arts University. So
Okay.
basically, I was invited to be a member of the steering group because I worked with the Rory Peck Trust organization or charity. Rory Peck Trust is a very small team of people who work to support freelance journalists in conflict. And
Wow.
the beauty of that team, it was really tiny. So there was kind of a researcher for each region, for Eurasia, for example, for Europe, for South America, and for the Middle East. And obviously there was kind of fundraising person, an advocacy person. I think the beauty of it was that we all wanted to protect the freedom of expression of people
Mm,
and for those journalists on the ground to be able to deliver what's happening on the ground, like the
mm,
atrocities that are being committed, the bombing that is happening, and also any restrictions against freedom of expression. So it was such a rewarding job to do. And obviously I was covering Syria and the Middle East, but most of the journalists at that time that we supported were stranded either in Turkey or in Europe or
wow.
sometimes like in Idlib area. So we would support them sometimes with financial grants and try to help them relocate to safer places. And
Wow.
that was the where I came to know the Refugee Journalism Project. And I like it because it basically understands all the barriers that journalists who come from anywhere in the world to the UK to be able to return to journalism and to do that job. Obviously, you have it's a very competitive field to be able to do it, especially when you are not a native English speaker. And then
Right.
you come here, you have all your trauma and all the other issues. And at the same time, you have to find your footing in this very, very competitive industry. And that what I liked about it, there was this steering group. And obviously, as a refugee myself, I am very much like linked to the community in London. I know a lot of Syrians who wanted to do that kind of work, but also because of my studies and my previous professional experience, it was how I found myself there supporting and just giving some advice about how to best meet the needs of the community, basically, which is mainly the journalists who came to the UK and starting their business once again. So it
Okay.
was a great project to be part of.
Oh, it sounds it. And it sounds like you would be such a natural pairing with it as well, because you're an expert in people and place. And I think if you pair that with someone who has a natural inkling to tell a story and tell the story that is happening, it seems like such a natural dance. It seems like such an important space as well for an expert to be in.
I think it's very important to bring people of concern to the decision making and policy making spaces. So for
Yeah.
refugees to be at any space where it matters to their life, where
Mm,
issues about them are being discussed or decisions about them are being taken. And I think that's the gap that we see most of the time. And even like when refugees are invited to these kind of spaces, it's often just like a ticking box and not really genuine. I think the Refugee Journalism Project was one way of bringing a refugee who knows about the community and who could speak for some of them or like bring some of their opinions at the table. I think this is a great model that should be definitely used everywhere, is the meaningful refugee participation in all matters that affect their life. And I'd say the same about women or
yeah.
migrants or any other like group that is being most of the time excluded from the tables where decisions about their lives are being taken.
Yeah, 100%. I think you only have to sit on like the family dining table and finally hear your brother express how he feels or your dad express how he feels to realize, actually, until I'm in your shoes, until I've heard the story from your mouth, I can only empathize to a certain extent. Like if someone asked me to create laws around something that's happening in Colombia somewhere, I have no insight. I have these ideas in my head, but I have absolutely no insight. So I completely get that importance. And I also think when you bring people into the conversation that concerns them, which sounds so obvious, there's also space to remove all bias. There's space to actually really speak to the maybe misunderstandings that a lot of people might have had about things. I think when we think refugee and migrant, sometimes they come across as such loaded terms and words, but actually they're people that have come from a place, that have left a place, that have been forced from a place. And I think if you can put that person in a room and have them tell their story, I think it'll be very hard for the person who's making policy to not feel connected. I think it's like if you get two strangers on a train and maybe by every standard they're not meant to get on for whatever reason, but then you get them talking, you get them both talking about grief, or you get them both talking about a football team that they like. You watch like a bridge being built via conversation, and a connection comes from there. I think that we're all like looking for things to connect us to ourselves and to each other. Like I said, I've watched smiles break open the sternest of faces when they see someone just wearing the same football jersey as them. You know, on the
Yeah.
dance floor, strangers become karaoke partners. Books like The Alchemist have been translated so many times for people all around
Yeah.
the world because they connect to this shared experience. Music, it brings people together, as you know, as someone who's also trained in dance. It brings people together in a way that doesn't demand speaking the same language or coming from the same
Of
place.
course.
So I just want to ask, like, what does music give you?
I'd say music combined with dance give me life.
Mm,
Obviously, as I said, music is, and I know I've heard music from all over the world. I love classical music, I love Latin music, but like kind of Arabic music and Oriental music have a specific place in my heart. It brings life, it brings movement, it brings joy, it brings connection, it brings emotions that I probably won't be able to just say out loud. But that combination of music and dance is what gives me life. And I obviously feel very grateful that I am able to hear and I'm able to move my body. I know that not everybody is able to do that. It's obviously a gift, and
mm,
humans are really powerful. So they will always find their own way to feel alive. Music is home, it reminds me a lot of my parents, especially when I hear a song that they used to love. Just connection and joy. I think music is joy, and music really like makes people happier and makes people more connected and close to each other. Like I
yeah.
think I think yeah, music for me is life for sure.
That's so beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. And dance specifically. So I think in a lot of cultures, dance means different things and dance stands for different things. And I'm from a West African, Gambian culture and Southeast Asian, Indian and Sri Lankan. So dance is a massive part of ceremony. It's a way of bringing people together. It's a way of connecting people to their own bodies. So from what I understand, you've started this belly dancing school that actually the intention of it is to decolonize belly dancing, which I think is so incredible and so powerful. And you realize and see the importance of it when people are going through things and they say, I just need to dance, or I really needed that at the end of a dance, you know, or I really needed that just freedom, or like that getting
Yeah.
in touch with their body again. Like, it's such a powerful tool, and it's not only does it connect you to each other, it connects you to yourself, which is arguably the first step to connecting with each other. So why was it important for you to start this school?
So I started learning belly dancing around 2014 in Syria after the conflict. So I wasn't very young when I started to learn it like the kind of official way, let's say, because all of us in the Arab world, we dance at home and we dance like in our parties and weddings, etc. I love belly dancing, and when I get asked about why I love belly dancing, I laugh because belly dancing is the only way you can dance to Arabic music. So it's like if you ask somebody in Latin America, why do you do salsa? Well, it's the only way I can dance to my music. So that's that bit is the funny part of it. But then when I came to London, I wanted to actually try some classes, and I thought that I didn't feel connected in the space. First of all, many of the teachers are actually not from the Arab world, or like they're not Turkish, they're not Greek, so they didn't have
Mm,
that kind of origin. And obviously, it's fine. I always say it's okay for this dance to be shared. I think it's amazing. I think everybody should do it, not only women.
mm,
But I felt like the classes were not really led by authentic. It wasn't based on like knowledge of the culture and the roots. The songs were like only these catchy ones. There was no kind of variety. And the other thing, it's all now with the social media, the stereotypes about belly dancing, which actually bother me a lot, about like it's a dance for seduction. It can only be done
mm,
by women. It should only be done by skinny women. Actually, women who does belly dancing, women who do belly dancing are not educated. They're
mm,
not very smart. They do that just because they have no other means, all these stereotypes. And obviously, I went a lot into the history of belly dancing, which is
right.
not very obvious. I mean, it's not very clear where and how it started and when, and how, like, the name belly dancing itself is a colonial name. Actually, the French called it belly dancing, but in our
Interesting.
countries, we call it dance. It's our dance.
Mm,
Sometimes I like the word Arabic dance, but I'm mindful that it doesn't include all the dances in the region. I like to describe it as Oriental dance, but then it could probably include more places. So there are many elements, but the decolonizing of belly dancing actually do start even with the name.
That's so interesting. That's really interesting. I think that's really beautiful. I went to a belly dancing class or a Arabic dancing class once that was focusing on belly dancing, and I remember we were in Paris actually. It was a work trip, and we all went out partying that same evening. So we started with the dance class. It was run by a Moroccan woman, and in the evening we went out dancing. And the way that we were all moving in comparison to how we would have been moving otherwise, it was just so. Because it's womb work as well, it's stomach work, it's breath work. It was
Definitely.
such like a liberating experience.
Sounded like you had a good teacher at that
Yeah,
night.
she was amazing. Honestly, she sat us down and she spoke about the history of things and the intention of a woman versus her stomach, or a woman in connection with her stomach. And it was such a powerful moment. And like you said, it wasn't sexualized. It wasn't for vanity. It was beautiful, but that wasn't the intention of it. I think the intention was to be powerful and connect. Do you have any other songs that you would recommend for Hope Hits? So songs that have made you feel connected to home, or songs that you want to leave with your listeners for future listening that will just make them maybe even connect with their bodies or feel hopeful?
I think it's also a song by Fayrouz, the same singer, and it's called My Homeland. It's called Watani, and I think Fayrouz sang that song probably around the time of the civil war in her country,
Wow.
and it was around like what home meant to her. But like, and Fayrouz is she kind of united all Lebanese people at that time with her voice and her sound and the music and what she provided. And in that song, she speaks about how her home, she describes home in different ways, but then she says, "You are so tiny, but you are as big as the world." And I love that so much. I feel like my village is small, my country is small, but like it feels as big as the whole world. And that's why I really love that song. I mean, any song by Fayrouz is a home song. Like she sang about different things, about love, about the country and the nation, and about many, many things. But yeah, anything about her reminds me of home. And I know that a lot of people in the world, even though they're not Arab, they connect a lot with her voice. So obviously it's an invitation for you to listen to Fayrouz every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to her for sure. That's such a beautiful line as well. What was it? The home.
That my homeland, you're so tiny, but you're as big as the world
As
to me.
big as the world. That's so beautiful. That's good poetry. That's good poetry. I love that.
True.
Maysa, thank you so, so much for sharing your stories and your hope here, and just teaching me so much about Syria and life there. And also, it's really refreshing to hear that coming to the UK has been a beautiful experience as well. So thank you so much for sharing that and sharing with our listeners. Actually, listeners, you can nominate your own Hope Hits. All of these songs will be added to a Hope on Repeat playlist alongside voting. You can also find more stories and music work that are all going to go towards supporting displaced people around the world at unrefugees.org.uk. My name is Sophia Thakur. I've been sat here with the lovely Maysa, and we'll catch up soon. But until then, thank you and keep hope on repeat.